are no proclamations, and we'll start with the auctions, John, so would you take it from there?
Yes, Mayor. We have 3 properties to auction tonight. These are all auctioned according to the authority of Ordinance 26-2021, and they are all subject to all the terms and conditions of that ordinance. The first property is 109 Brown Trail. This is block 11008, lot 1. The minimum bid is $3,700. This property is limited to bids from adjoining property owners. Is anyone here to bid the minimum bid of $3,700 for 109 Brown Trail? Gentleman, the black hat. Is anybody else here tonight to bid any amount higher than $3,700 for 109 Brown Trail? Going once, going twice. Mayor, not seeing a competing bid, I would recommend that the council accept the bid of $3,700 for 109 Brown Trail.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hopatcong.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Schindler.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
And Mr. Young.
Yes.
And can I just have the name of the person who did?
Christopher O'Connor.
Thank you.
So, Mr. O'Connor and everybody who bids tonight, if you want to make out your check for the minimum amount in the ordinance, the 10% of the bid plus $450, you can make that out to the Borough of Hopatcong, give it to me or Ron, we'll give it to the clerk, and then I'll send you a letter basically telling you, how the closing will happen, and you can advise whether you're going to have title insurance or get an attorney and those types of things. Okay. And you can do that during the meeting, or you can stay till the end. It's up to you. The second property is 216 Squaw Trail. This is 50201, lot 16. The minimum bid is $18,600. Is anyone here tonight to bid $18,600 for 216 Squaw Trail? Gentleman on the second row.
Gray hat?
Yep, the crowd's not that big tonight. We won't let them go anywhere. Is anyone here tonight? We have a bid of $18,600 for 216 Squaw Trail. Does anyone wish to bid a higher amount than $18,600? Not appearing that there's any competing bids. Going once, going twice. Mayor, I would recommend that the council accept the bid of $18,600 for 216 Squaw Trail. Sir, what's your name?
Dan Ashman.
Dan, could you spell your last name?
T as in Peter, O, T as in Thomas, A, S, H, N as in Nicholas, I, C, K.
I move to accept the bid.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hopatcong.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
Yes.
Ms. Roberts.
Yes.
Mr. Schindler.
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
And the third and final property for auction under the ordinance is 457 Brown Trail, 40301, lot 3. The minimum bid is $3,350, and this property is limited to bids from adjoining property owners. Is anyone here to bid tonight $3,350 for 457 Brown Trail? The lady in the back row. Is there anyone here to bid a higher amount than $3,350? Not seeing any further bids. Ma'am, what's your name?
Susan Krupmeyer, Krukmeyer.
Thank you. Mayor, not seeing any competing bids for the minimum bid at $3,350. I'd recommend that the council entertain a motion to accept that bid.
So made. Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Schindler?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
And again, what's that?
I'll take it to them.
Yep. Yeah, if you wanna give your deposit checks to Mr. Tappan, we can take care of that while the meeting continues.
Thank you, John. All right, we'll do committee reports. Dawn, we'll start with you.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I just want to let everyone know that the Thrivent Action Team has come into Hopatcong to collect non-perishable food for the community. So you may see bins around town. There's bins here at Borough Hall, over at the Hopatcong Community Center, West Side United Methodist Church, the Hopatcong Post Office, Lake Hopatcong Foundation, the Grotto Restaurant, and Frank's Pizzeria. All of the donations into those bins will go to all the area food pantries, United Methodist Church, including the community center. Is there any way, Kathy or Lorraine, can we get that up on the Hopatcong?
I put it in the newsletter so far.
Okay, so it's on the newsletter.
Yeah, and then I'll keep going forward. Whatever it is.
So it'll be on, it's always on Facebook, it's always on our page. If you don't do Facebook, then we can, you can track it down
It'll be on the
through
website.
on hopatcong.org. And we're just going merrily along, Mayor. We're busy almost every day, doing things that help the community. And speaking of the community, I just want to say thank you to all the residents of our community that are just so generous and make donations. They don't even have to be asked. People will call and say, what do you need for the little ones this week? Do you need diapers? Do you need formula? People are donating coats. We have a lot of nice coats for the winter. So just the generosity of this community is just quite amazing to me. And that's for all of us. That's for anyone that needs that. So thank you very much. And that's it for now. Thank you.
Brad, you're up.
Mayor, just want to let everyone know who doesn't know that the governor recently signed into law an appropriation of $10 million for grants for certain lake management activities and for recreation and conservation purposes. What that will mean locally is that the Lake Hopatcong Commission and the surrounding 4 towns are all eligible to apply for grants that basically will be dedicated mainly towards the improvement of the watershed area around the lake, which is to control the runoff of phosphorus, which is the evil part going into the lake. And so you may be hearing about that in the future. And so that was good news for the lake for sure. Going back to this last Sunday, I'd just like to take the opportunity and thank the Recreational Commission. And of course, that's headed by, we got Kathy here, did a great job, Wendy. Sue, I know, was there. I'd like to also thank the judges. I think they did a good job, John and Mike. And
That was hard.
I know it was hard. I think the cutest thing I saw was a red wagon being pulled with 2 little babies in there,
Strawberry patch.
dressed as strawberries and as a strawberry patch, and it was pick your strawberry. So it was a very nice thing, and my congratulations to everything you guys do and what a great job you do. That's it, man.
Rich, you're up.
Okay, as everyone can see tonight, we had that auction for 3 properties. The real estate committee has been pretty active, and I just want to say that on ordinance number 3 introductions, we are adding a property, 52 Northwood, block 70218 and lot 50. It's just another property that we don't need and we're looking at selling, so get it back on the tax rolls. That's it.
Thank you. John, you're up.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, from Municipal Alliance, we are having conversation and working on whatever events and projects we can do for next year, 2022. Recreation, first off, last meeting there was a question about where does Recreation advertise their events, and I'd like to answer that first. We advertise our events through the borough website, school website, the school students' digital backpack, most all of the school social medias, Hopatcong Happenings newsletter, which is distributed in Borough Hall, Post Office, Community Center, and several stores. Recreation Facebook page, Hopatcong Happenings, Facebook pages that we share, for example, Hopatcong Moms and Dads, Hopatcong Community Online, I think there's a couple more. Sometimes we also post flyers. We posted our basketball sign-up flyers throughout the tents on Hopatcong days, and in the newsletter, which goes home to every child from both Durbin Avenue and Tulsa Trail schools. Further from recreation, from our last meeting, we had more conversation about basketball. This last Saturday was the last day for signups. At the time of the meeting, we still weren't 100% sure what was happening with the league. However, we had previously made a decision that as long as we can use the schools, we're going to do something with basketball, even if it's strictly within Hopatcong. We had conversation about the upcoming Santa in the Park. We have a new Santa this year. Unfortunately, the old Santa is no longer with us. And as Brad commented, this past Sunday, under the rain date, we had our Halloween festivities and costume contest. I thought it went very well. The weather could have been a little more cooperative. But nonetheless, it was a great day. For me, the hit was in the 9 and 12-year-old category. We had a young boy who was dressed as a little old lady, and he was absolutely perfect with the gray hair, the scarf, the red-rimmed glasses. And we asked him who he's supposed to be, and after a moment of thinking about it, he said, "My grandmother." We also added a new category this year. We had an adult category, and I think the little bit of rain shower chased a few of them away, but we did have 4 contestants, and I have to say that of the 4, Jesus took 4th place. So I think we know where all the judges are headed. And lastly, not from recreation, but if you have not been to a high school home football game, your last chance is not this Friday, following Friday, October 29th. We'll be playing Sussex Tech. So that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
How about the tent?
Well, I have an excuse for Jesus being 4th. I get hit in the head with a 10. So I'm safe.
One of those Gus gave it a good.
Yes.
Yeah, it took the tent down. All right, Ryan, you're up.
Okay, I also want to commend Kathy and the entire recreation staff for a wonderful Halloween event. My favorite costume, I think, was the blow-up dragon. Going through the crowd, he would just take everybody out with his wings. It was hilarious. It was adorable. Anyway, okay. Moving on, Chamber of Commerce events. Our next B2B breakfast is on November 9th. The next Chamber of Commerce meeting is November 12th. On the Chamber of Commerce website, we have a lot of job opportunities being listed, specifically at the Newton Medical Center. Crystal Springs Resort is hiring, Thor Labs is hiring, Provident Bank is hiring, and the Sussex County YMCA is hiring. The next county COVID update will be this Friday at 10 a.m. There's details on our website. Speakers are Congresswoman Mikey Sherrill, State Senator Steve Oroho, Sussex County Commissioner Chris Carney, the President of Newton Medical Center, Bob Adams, Sussex County Chamber of Commerce President Tammy Horsfield. Over at the Sussex County Municipal Utilities Authority, the next e-waste event is October 23rd, that's this Saturday. And the next household hazardous waste event is November 6th. Following on the tails of John's announcement that on the 29th, Friday, the football game is on the 30th, the very next day, the Hopatcong High School Drama Club will be hosting Haunted Hallway for the first time in 2 years. So if everybody should get a chance to go out and see that, I believe there's a trunk or treat going on in the parking lot at the same time. So get out there and have some fun. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. Jennifer, you're up.
Yes, so I attended the ambulance meeting last night. They're at just around 700 calls to date since the beginning of the year. Their holiday stocking program is coming soon, where they do a fundraiser of holiday stockings. So that information is coming soon. And if anyone is interested in volunteering for our ambulance department, please call 973-770-0440. Thank you.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, you're done. Ron, administrative report.
Oh my goodness, okay. Thank everyone that's left for the auction, I do appreciate that. Quick paving update, the paving's going well. I still ask all the residents to be patient with the traffic patterns. Guys are working hard to get this done. We'll be up in the hills tomorrow milling. And if we stay on pace with what we're doing, got a great contractor on this job, he's doing a phenomenal job. If we stay on pace, we'll be done first week in November. So we'll put a bow on it then. So kudos to those, and please pay attention to the traffic. We don't want anybody to get hurt. We know it's tight, we know it's inconvenient, but the outcome is great when it's all done. I want to give an update on Pfos. I haven't done that in an open meeting. I've been updating the council and everybody else as much as we can on this. It's been a long-winded conversation, but I thought I'd give a small update tonight about Pfos and what we're doing with the water quality in the borough. First of all, how do we get to where we're at? Back in 2020, the DEP told all the water companies that they were going to set a limit on PFOS. In other words, DEP did not have a limit that we were measured against PFOS up to until 2021. So 2020, they said, hey, look, we're going to be working on a maximum standard that all water utilities are going to have to abide by. That went back and forth in DEP, back and forth. We started measuring our water in 2020. We did that because we wanted to know where we were, what levels we had, and most importantly, we wanted to make sure that we had a very robust testing process. What I mean by that, this is a very sensitive test. We're looking for small particles in the water. We're talking about 16 parts per trillion to 28 parts per trillion is kind of where our wells range right now. That's equivalent to 16 particles of sand in an Olympic-sized pool. So to say that it's very technical to find these little minute, and I don't want to downplay PFOS and POS. That's not it. But the way we have to test to find it is very, very sensitive, extremely sensitive. It's sensitive in a way that PFOS is everywhere. We learned today. We had our first working meeting as a report that the borough last year approved us to be in a multiple lawsuit against 3M and DuPont, who are the manufacturers of this product. They illustrated to us today that PFOS is everywhere. It is everywhere. It's in pizza boxes. It's in Scotch-Brite. It's in non-skid pots and pans. It's in hair products. So our testers that have to go out and test prior that night can't have any of that on their body. If anything gets on their body and takes that test, it could contaminate that test. So it's a very, very, very stringent and tight test. So lo and behold, 2021, the DEP set the standard at 13 and 14 parts per trillion. That flagged us to be over. So we had been testing through 2020, and so everybody knows, we can't pick and choose with the DEP what we test and what we don't test for. If we take a test, totally have to send that to the DEP. I can't just go test like we normally do, take a PFOS test and see where we're at with that, and hold that out of the report that goes to DEP. You test the water, you got to test the water, and you send them those reports. We have been testing pretty much the entire time of 2020. So what happens when we turn into 21 and they set the standard at 13 and 15, we were looking at the national standard, which the EPA has set at 70 parts per trillion. There were some other states that had adopted 40 parts per trillion. DEP had set nothing until 2021, which was 13 and 14 respectively. So what the DEP does, they don't take just one test and say, okay, you're bad. They like to validate the data. So what they do, they take 3/4 of that data. So they took the last quarter of 2020, first quarter of 2021, second quarter of 2021, violation issued. And that's what we got in July. We got the first violation in July that our wells were over the minimum standards of what the DEP said. Point of the matter as well, our water, this is not just something that just happened to our water. It's not just something in 2020 we started testing for it. We found it. It's been in our water a very long time. extremely long time. Do we know the source of it? No. We have no idea what the source of it is. We've been told emphatically by the attorneys that are handling our third-party case, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter how it got there. We're going after the manufacturers that put it there in the first place, that constructed it in the first place. That's the heart of the case of who produced this material. We got in our aquifers a whole lot of different ways. Non-skid pans, you wash them, guess what? They're brand new. They look great. After a couple of months or a year, they're silver in the middle. All that stuff just went down the drain. Or you've ingested it. One of the two. We all have PFOS in our bodies. They have found PFOS in polar bears. They have found PFOS in baby umbilical cord. It's everywhere. So where we're headed with this, also with the letters, any communications that we give to constituents of the water department has to be absolutely approved by the DEP. The first letter that came out, we went through 3 different revisions between our engineer and the DEP before they allowed us to settle on what the language was going to be. They put out a standard letter. We added some verbiage to it to the point of what we were doing to remediate the PFOS. They wouldn't allow us to do that. They took it back. So when we finally wrestled down the DEP, they authorized the letter, and the letter went out the next day. That's the whole reason why notices come in, particularly the first one. There's a lag in that because they validate all the data that's going out. You can't alarm the public unless the DEP authorizes the data that's on that letter. You can't just alarm everybody just for the sake of doing it. It has to be approved by the DEP. So what are we doing? What have we done? We were fortunate to receive monies from our COVID grant to the tune of just a little bit more than $700,000. We had put a purchase order in and ordered the first carbon filter mechanism that's going to be located at River Styx, which will be the first location for carbon filtration that sets a zero tolerance for the PFOS. In other words, we're going for zero. We're not going to go for any range of spec. When that water goes through that carbon filter, we're measuring at 0. And when that starts to creep, that's when we change out the carbon filters and we start again. So the first one has been ordered. We had bid openings last week for the second wave of filtrations. And that's either going to go to well 3, 3A, or Mariner. We don't know yet. Our strategy is to outfit the larger wells first. We want to hit all the big wells so that gives us the opportunity to shut down the smaller wells that have PFOS in them. We can shut those off and let the bigger wells maintain the capacity until we can find funding to buy the other filters that we're going to need to do. And that is the constraint right now. Going forward, finding funding to figure out how we do the rest of the wells. We have 8 to outfit. And quite frankly, we are up against a very, very hard supply chain. Our manufacturers of these carbon filters still can't give me a date on the first one I've built. The supply chains in the nation right now are majorly constrained. The good news is, as they told us today, our car is in front of the pack. We're one of few municipalities in the state of New Jersey that have already got our permit in the DEP. And oh, by the way, they had no problem cashing the $9,750 check for our application to do that. And we're ahead of the game of doing that. We just need to get those products delivered. We have the manpower to put it in. They have the manpower to build it. We're constrained by the supply chain for the product that needs to build it. So that's where we're at right now. I can't think of anything else that we are constantly looking for federal and state grants. There's a lot of chatter out there that these types of grants are going to come out because we're not the only municipality that is dealing with PFOS or will be dealing with PFOS in the state and in the country. So and we are prudent in watching those federal monies, those state monies. If any grants out there, we are going to be going after that. Oh, yeah, okay. In New Jersey, just so you know where we're at in the world of PFOS measurements, there were 6 states in the United States that mandated standards below the EPA standard. New Jersey was one of them, and there's 5 other that went between the 14, 13, 16 range. There are 32 states in the United States aren't measuring it at all. They don't have any standard to it. There's a handful of states that went over the 15 and 16, and they're somewhere around 40 and 50. So nationwide, New Jersey is one of 6 states that took the tightest standard against this, which from a health perspective is a very, very strategic way of doing it. And from the health of the water, set a very, very tight standard for all of us to meet. That comes with a price. So we're going after that. Again, the systems that we've developed, that we've selected and put in, is going after 0. And that's about all I have on that report.
Next year, we have 600,000 coming in.
We have our next wave of care money, which was the same of this year. We don't know when that's coming in. When that comes in, that will allow us to buy 3 more. So that's what we're hoping for those 3. We still need money for 2 more.
It'll be next year, we just know what month.
Right. And the thing about it is, if they came to, we had the money today, I don't know when they would get delivered. That's the problem. So, okay. That's the world with Pfos.
Hey, Ron, can you put that information on the website?
Sure.
If you just-
In fact,
Right, it would answer a lot of questions.
well, I've answered well over 300 phone calls in the last week.
They're going to record. This meeting will be on YouTube probably tomorrow.
But also, the information I've got here, what was done for me tonight is allowed me to draft a letter that we're going to send to all the water recipients anyway. DEP said I can update on progress. I can't change their standard letters that they have for reporting violations.
Just what you
Yep.
said about.
This information is going to become formed into a letter that's going to be sent to all the water recipients as well. So that, and we can post that same letter on the website once that's done. Okay?
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Good report, and we'll make sure we document that. That should be helpful.
Where are we on the new website? Let me interrupt.
It's running. It's not running. It's being worked. We've just got all the department information in and updates on that. I would venture to say in a month or 2 we'll be able to do some small demonstrations on that to run it and see how it feels. All right.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Now I'll entertain a motion to open the meeting to the public for public comment. An opportunity is given to the public for comments limited to 1 comment for no more than 5 minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome, public. Come on up. When you talk, give for the clerk, give her your name and where you live.
Good evening, Daniel Rodriguez, 9 Skyline Drive. I'd like to thank the mayor and council. I just wanted to brush up on resolution 21-140. Brought it up at our last meeting, had a formal meeting about it, and she was brushed off. So, first off, has there been any formal meetings with the police department or EMS department or fire department or our dispatchers? Formal as in our entire mayor and council, not just individuals reaching out individually. Has our mayor and council inquired about the lack of federal money being distributed to our dispatch center from the county? As noted before, our ambulance squad has taken 700 calls this year. Going off of last year's numbers, our PD has received over 17,000 calls. Our EMS was over 1,000 calls, and our fire department was roughly 230 calls. Have any other towns been contacted in regards to the shared service dispatch center? Currently, Byram PD is the only one that is being dispatched by our county. All other towns that are with them are fire and EMS only. Why hasn't Newton, Hartston, Vernon, Sparta, or Andover switched to the county system? Especially Newton, which is right down the road. We threw out numbers last time at the last meeting, 3.6 million. It's a scare tactic, throwing big numbers out. This number can be broken up. The whole system can be broken up into multiple stages, breaking it up over years, and applying for federal grants, which I know many of you have spoken about grants. Their last dispatch center was updated. Last time the dispatch center was updated was 2007. if we were to update our dispatch center now, which would be less than 3.6 million, broken up over years, it would last over 40 years. It would put us in line with this New Jersey State Police and other dispatch centers in South Jersey. It would allow us to communicate all over North Jersey. Currently, our dispatch center works 100%. It doesn't need any updates. It can continue working the way it is now. This is a proposal to the town to add this. They'll bring us up to make us revolutionary. So we can create an income, bring other towns to us, our neighboring towns, Stanhope, Byram, Andover. It's a way to profit rather than just shipping off and getting rid of our town employees, and a great asset to our town. On the last note, it's been said before that they would never put a price on our residents' health or safety. Well, you have put a price. Clearly, the price is not enough to update our center and keep it in-house. We need to save money to ship it out. That's it. Good night.
Hi, my name is Denise Magnuson. I'm an attorney, and I'm here on behalf of Donna Coyle, who owns 124 Hudson Avenue. I've been in touch with Mr. Urson and Ms. Egan about a grant for revocable permission with reference to a location of wellhead in the right-of-way on Hudson Avenue. And I do have the document signed by the property is in the process of being sold. I have the signed document from the current homeowner, Donna Coyle, as well as the prospective new homeowner. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Thank you.
Good evening, Don Wolf, 36 Alexandria Avenue, the man without the hat. I feel bad that I didn't wear one tonight. I wanted to talk to you about ordinance proposal 23-2021, which is vacating Hopatcong Street. We talked about that at the other meeting. I understand that they had talked about going to Title 39, and what Title 39 does is allow the owner of the establishment to write a letter to allow the town to enforce traffic laws and everything else on that road. That's 5A-1. However, the next paragraph in that is 5A-2, which also says that that owner can write a letter to rescind that without any particular reason. He can just take that right away again. I am one of a bunch of people, and we will have letters and signed documents and everything else for you at the next meeting. But we've been going around the neighborhood talking to our neighbors. That is the only source of water for our homes. I'm not a fireman, and I expect that if a house was to catch fire up there, it's going to take a response time for the fire department to get there. We may lose that home, but we don't want to lose all of the surrounding homes in the area as well. If there is no access to water up there, and I have watched them perform on the hill in the 4 fires that have happened up there since I have lived there, and also one at Lola's about a week ago, which I don't know if you guys are aware of, but Lola's had a fire, very small fire, but still, it's very possible to happen. Let me say that nobody in the neighborhood is against Lola's. We're all for helping out the business there. I myself go there and have dinner, so their food is great. I recommend them. Nothing against Lola's. However, I have also lived there and tried to get to the post office and have seen the parking situation down there. And while they are at this time not parking in the fire zone, and they have DoorDash and everything else, which again is fine, nobody's complaining about that. Sometimes they have events where it is just impossible to get anything down there. And by the time they know the fire department is responding, it's going to be too late to move all the cars. So we absolutely need that fire lane, and the residents of Northwood are going to ask you to vote no on vacating that part of Hopatcong Street until a replacement or another area to get to the water is found. And we are happy to discuss with you or Lola's or anyone else that there can be a right-of-way, a fire lane, or what else that will give the fire department direct access to the lake. Spoke to the fire department at Thompson Park, and the fire marshal seems to think that that is way too steep to get down there, so. The only other thing I can think of, but I'm just a citizen, is the other driveway to Lola's. I would assume that Lola's would want the street vacated so that they can move things around to make their business more accessible and to do other things with their septic, etc. Nobody has a problem with that, as long as the fire department can get to the lake. We cannot afford to give up our access to the wharf. So my question, I guess, to you would be, tell me why you want to vacate it, and tell me why you would not want to save the water for the people that live up there. That's the two questions. And then aside, John Young, I don't know that I've ever seen the Hopatcong Happening letter over at our post office, and I would love to see that there. There's a lot of folks
I'll bring it up.
go down to the post office and grab their stuff, so that would be great. That is all I have to say. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Thanks, Tom.
Next up.
Hi, my name is Judy Wolf. That's my husband. I live at 36 Alexandria Avenue. I want to thank you all for having us back in person. I'd also like to ask you to think about doing it also in Zoom. You don't have the idea of how to do it? Contact the kids in the high school. They'll know. They can set it up. We do it at church. People that feel comfortable going in are. People that don't can stay home and still attend. Anyway, I am going to second everything that my husband has said, except one thing. I've been an EMT in this town for 24 years, and I have been on multiple fire poles. And I can't tell you what these people are like, and when you're bringing them out of a fire. We've had things up at Hopatcong, where the post office had exploded many years ago. I was down there. And when you looked at the guy that came out, we didn't know where to touch him because his skin was melting, dripping off him. It's a horrible, horrible thing. Horrible thing to see a child in a room, took his parents' lighter, sat on the floor, played with the lighter, and lit his pajamas on fire. Had to break down the door to get in because he was an autistic child, and we locked him in. That kid went in the hospital and stayed there for, I can't tell you how many months. 75% of his body was burned. Another one a couple of years ago, right up on our hill. Guy got out. When you looked at him, everything was black. That's the carbon monoxide. Guess where that was? In his lungs. He didn't make it. Having access to the town, to the water, is so important to people up on the hill. And again, like Don said, we also have woods. If the houses go up, the woods can go up. Not only us, it's people down on the main road too. So it's not just one section. It's everybody up there. And I just can't tell you enough. Vote it down. Let's keep it. These are lives we're talking about. And every second for the fire company to be up there and get to us and get water up to all the people up there, it all counts. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Next up.
Mary Rhodes, I'm a resident of Hopatcong. First, I'd like to extend a welcome to the new owners, to the owners of the school that'll be replacing Hudson Maxim School. It sounds like they'll be giving quite a bit back to the community. Second, I don't think my question was answered at the last meeting. On June 16th, 2021, ordinance 17-2021, the mayor and council allocated $76,000 to the police department for a dispatch console and a camera system. And I want to know if the money has been given to the police department and has it been factored into the funding request tonight? Thank you.
Next up. More public? Moving on.
Hi. Sorry. Okay. I didn't want to jump the gun ahead of anybody. It's good to be in person. Meet you guys officially. First time here. My name's Rachel Rodriguez. I'm at 9 Skyline Drive. Just want to follow up with a lot of the same questions I had from the last meeting. What portion of our current county taxes fund the county dispatch center? What would be the contract term and price? How will that contract rate change upon the expiration of the initial contract? Do you guys have a copy of the contract? Would that be shared with the Hopatcong residents? Has anybody spoken with the surrounding town first responders who have switched to the county-based system for their opinions of overall performance? Just following up to one of the comments in the last meeting regarding misinformation and social media. I know a lot of our community, we leverage social media. A lot of people rely on Facebook for their news. I think the issue with the Hopatcong dispatchers was an issue that nobody was aware about until it was heard of on social media. So I think if the town could somehow create its own social media page for information to be shared, that would limit misinformation if it was coming directly from yourselves. Regardless where people get their news from, there will always be misinformation and gossip, but we could probably try to limit that if you guys were in control of it. We're close to 900 signatures on the petition we have going to save the dispatchers and dispatch center, including a lot of the handwritten signatures here from the senior citizens who cannot sign electronically. And then I'll also just second everything that my husband already stated earlier this evening. That was it. Thank you.
Thank you. Public? Hearing none?
Move to bring it back.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, well, as usual, I try to respond as best I can to the question. The dispatch is, I wish it was as simple as everybody tried to make it. The request for $3.8 million is not simple. And so we're still doing a lot of evaluation. We're still looking at information. There are absolutely no decisions made. The discussions I have shared with the council, what I know so far, which is really not enough to make any decision, and would recommend that we don't. We'll keep acquiring information. $3.8 million is approximately a 24% municipal tax increase. You can spread it over 1 year, you can spread it over 5 years, you can spread it over 10 years. At the end of the day, what we're faced with fundamentally, do we want to raise taxes every year for the next 10 or 15 years? Because it will be an increase that comes from general taxation. To my knowledge, no one has applied for or received any commitment of any kind of grant, federal or state, to date. So we're still in the evaluation process. No decision will be made. And so we do have some, we're not nowhere near ready for public hearings yet. Right now, we're talking, get clarification from the police who put the budget request in. We're still having conversations. Next week, we'll be meeting with the chief for more conversations and details. And again, I wish it was as simple as everybody tried to make it. And you mentioned social media. Social media is just filled with partial information, inaccurate on its best day. And so the $3.8 million is a proposal. I finally got the proposal, finally. So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at all the options. And also the option of, quite frankly, are we trying to fix something that's not broke? Are we trying to spend $3.8 million on something that we don't need to? 3.2 million at the end, 3.2, 3.8. The numbers keep changing. Started at 1.8, went to 2.7. I get the official proposal, it's 3.2 or 3.4. So enough of that. We're not going to do anything. We have definitive numbers that we can really address. And I think we're getting there. So the first order of business, I think, is we'll sit down and we'll evaluate the funding for this and see how it's done. You know, we talk about debt, we talk about taxes. I really, what got my attention with this was the significant tax increase. And I don't care if you do it 1 year or 10 years, it's a tax increase. And so every $141,000 is 1 cent on your tax rate. Your tax rate is 94 cents today. The 3.2 or $4 million, we'll make it $1.17. Do the math. For every $100 that your house is evaluated. That certainly has my attention, as it should yours. Because if that's what we're about, let's take a good, long, hard look at this and see what the alternatives are. And so we really haven't reached that, but we put everything on the table. And like I say, we're going to get to a point where we spend 3.8 million or 3.2, whatever it's going to be, or not. If it's not, then let's take a look at what we're really trying to fix, folks. Because I don't believe that we're so broke. I'm partial to our police department to a fault. I get accused of being too partial. But I'll take that criticism. And that includes dispatch. That includes our people. But you know, the realities of life aren't always that easy to handle. So I wish I could make it that simple and give you an answer. What answer I can give you, no decision is made, no commitments are made. I present to our governing body right now. It's deliberative, so whatever information I get to share with our council people. They have a copy of the proposal. They have a copy of the county proposal. They have a copy of what it costs. So the best of my ability, I'm going to give the council, arm them with knowledge, so that when we do have formal meetings, formal public hearing, my council will be armed with accurate information, accurate mathematics to make that decision. So anything else you hear anywhere else is simply not true. And if you don't hear it here, then you really need to question the source of the information. Because, you know, again, the last 4 years we've cut our debt by $10 million, our gross debt. That doesn't come easy while you're holding taxes flat. So $3.8 million, $3.4 million gets my attention. It gets my focus. And so we'll keep that in mind, along with making sure that we maintain the excellent service that I believe we have today. That's the disconnect for me. It's a disconnect. And to say we're going to bring other towns in, that is speculating with taxpayers' money. I do not support that. We'll never support that. I support making what we have and keeping what we have as excellent as it is. And I hope I'm perfectly clear with that. I know sometimes I'm not politically correct. I'm sorry for that. But we look at the money, we look at the tax rates, we look at the effect it has on our 15,000 people. And right now, I believe that we're doing a pretty damn good job with that. Police included. Our police is probably one of the best, if not the best, in Sussex County or probably the region. And that's not an accident. That's because our town supports them. And will continue to support them. So this nonsense of defunding the police, I read that somewhere, baloney. I really get upset with that. And I can't respond because it won't go well if I do. But I can certainly talk to the people that come to this meeting. We ordered 2 new police cars for our police department. We've done it every year since I've become mayor. Because a few years back, we had a rolling junkyard. And in previous life, I served as a police officer. And I was in a car one night, hit the brakes, and nothing happened. Fortunately, it was late at night. So I've committed to make sure we always have only the best equipment. We have probably one of the best police training ranges in the area, thanks to John Young and his efforts and the efforts of this council to support it. And by the way, that didn't go well. People are afraid of gunshots. We're going to scare the dogs. We're going to start a war. Not true. In the previous life, I was a ranger officer. I understand that. And so you need to know our stance. Are we perfect? Hell no. Are we going to get it right the first time? Well, I hope we get damn close to it. But to support what we have and to support our police, our law enforcement is critical. We have one of the safest towns in the state, if not the area. And so we intend to keep it that way. So make no mistake, when we evaluate capital funding and we evaluate taxes and we evaluate debt, there's a lot of pieces of that puzzle go together. If you take one and spin it a certain way, it certainly looks a little different. But make no mistake of where we're at with that. Or where what my and I am prejudiced to our police department to a fault, and I will not apologize for that. We're going to maintain our service, but we're going to keep an eye on how we do that. So we might not build Taj Mahal in 1 year or 2 years or 3 years, but we certainly we sure as hell can maintain a very high level of service, which we have now. And so enough of this nonsense. Well, maybe this and maybe that. No, maybe. We evaluate our debt. We evaluate our taxes. We evaluate our level of service. And most of all, I don't know that we should be fixing what's not broken. And so that's where we're at with this. So I hope I'm clear. I hope everybody understands where we're going with this. And we're going to continue to go. It's not done. We have a lot more to look at. The proposal I have in front of me for $3.2 million is actually not even legal in the state of New Jersey. There should be 3 of them. We didn't do that. We're responding to that. And that we didn't publish any of this. I don't know where the hell it came from, but it came. But I can certainly tell you here on the record what we're doing, how we're going to do it, what I believe our commitments are. And I don't think anybody as council would disagree with what I just said. And if they did, stick your hand up and say I'm full of baloney. But we need to make sure we maintain our level of service. And be careful how we do it. Because we don't have unlimited funds. That money comes out of your pocket. But then when you make that 911 call, you damn well expect results. That is what we're committed to. And so speculate with our money? I don't think so. Keeping a high level of service? Absolutely. I'm not sure what the right answer is that, but we're going to make sure that it serves everybody and not just a couple. I hope I help. I'm sorry, I don't mean to go on, but I really take this serious. I really do. And along with our dispatch, along with our people. So I really take it serious. Anyhow, I hope that helped a little bit with the issue. And I don't want anybody thinking anything is happening because it's not and won't. All right. But back on street, we're going to keep talking about that. You know, I have an opinion on that, and it'll be at the pleasure of the council. We'll put that back on and kind of like, well, if we're going to just make it private, we're going to invoke Title 39 or whatever. What's the difference? So our issue is to make sure we guarantee access to the lake. We have to do that. If we don't do that, we'd be remiss. So again, we're going to keep reviewing that, and if the ordinance gets too wordy, then maybe it's not even worth fooling around with it, basically. So that will be a back on street. We're still evaluating that. Ryan made some pretty good recommendations. We're still going to take a look at that. I'm still talking. Spoke to the fire chief just before the meeting. Number 2 fire chief. I just spoke to him. We had a conversation. So it's not being done in a vacuum. And we have to guarantee that truck gets to the lake. And I drove a fire truck once. And I have to tell you, if I got to get somewhere with that big machine, I won't get there. If you're in the way, you're going to have a problem. I'll pay for it later. But we will address that in the proper fashion. And if it gets too crazy, then maybe we should just take a look at what we're doing and why. Exactly what you said. So the $76,000 for police, Ron, I believe it's there.
Yep.
When we budget capital, if you spend it, you spend it. If you don't, you don't. Once we approve it in the budget, which it was, that's up to the department that asked for the money. We don't micromanage departments when we approve their capital budget. Of course, they have to comply with the law, and if they have to get a proposal, of course, we make sure that happens. But once they make a presentation to us for the capital and we approve it, they're responsible for executing it, not us. If they choose not to, then that's their judgment. I never get mad at anybody for not spending money, by the way, but it was approved. I think I try to answer everybody. I think I got everybody. I'm sorry. I apologize for carrying on, but I feel strongly on some issues, and if I didn't express that to you, I wouldn't be doing my job. So I think that's everything. Yep, it is. All right. Hope I help. All right, now we're at approval of minutes. Approval of the 10/6/2021 minutes.
I'll move them.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp.
Yes.
Ms. Johnson.
With the change to the one I
Yes.
emailed you about? Yes.
It was just a change in.
It was a change in the
motion.
yeah, motion that was switched around.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Resolution 2021-141, approval of bills list.
Thank you, Mayor. Does anyone need anything removed or discussed?
21-01157.
That's it.
That is it.
Okay. Mayor, I will move the bill list, not including Bill 21-01157.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes. I will now move the bill 21-01157.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Abstain.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
There is no consent agenda. We'll move to ordinance introduction. Ordinance 27-2021, amending Chapter 189, short-term rentals. Ordinance adopting amendment to Chapter 189, short-term rentals in the Code of the Borough of Hopatcong.
So move it. Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Ordinance 28-2021, auction of borough property, 321 Elmira Trail, 4 Winding Hill Road, and 634 Durban Avenue. An ordinance of the Borough of Hopatcong, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, authorizing the sale of certain properties owned by the borough and not required for public purposes, and more commonly known as 321 Elmira Trail, Block 4 Winding Hill Road, Block 10906 Lot 1, and 634 Durban Avenue, Block 11107 Lot 26.
So move.
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
Ordinance 29-2021, auction of borough property, 14 Keith Road and 62 Northwood Road. An ordinance of the Borough of Hopatcong, County of Sussex, State of New Jersey, authorizing the sale of certain property owned by the borough and not required for public purposes, and more commonly known as 14 Keith Road, Block 40105, Lot 7, and 62 Northwood Road.
Like 52.
52.
I thought it was 60.
52.
That-
So it's 52.
62.
62? Is it 62 or 52?
It's 8675-309.
It's the ordinance that you sent us is 62.
It does?
It's 62.
Okay. What's the right number?
Get it straight.
What's the right address?
I have to go for the bottom, I don't know, 62, I thought it was 52.
Hold on. Tell you what they are. It's a lot.
It's block 70218, lot 50.
That's the adjacent.
70218, lot 50.
That's the adjoining, the neighbor next to, that's the person who wants to buy it.
70218 is 62 Northwood Road. The lot and block on this
Right.
is 62.
Look at lot 50. One's
Lot
next-
50.
Is next door.
Then why is lot 50 on here?
Let me go get it.
Let me go get it. Let's be
Get it
set
right.
and do it
Get it
once
right.
and get the proper paperwork.
Yeah, I'll reintroduce that. But let's get to the resolution. Because these are only introductions, so we can make the change without too much.
Sounds good.
Resolution 2021-142, certifying compliance with requirements of the annual audit.
So move it.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Hoppercamp,
Yes.
Ms. Johnson,
Yes.
Ms. Roberts,
Yes.
Mr. Schindler,
Yes.
Mr. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Young.
Yes.
And the annual audit is posted on our website, correct, Lorraine?
Yes.
So, yeah, the audit is posted if anybody wants to read it. Resolution 2021-143, rescinding the 2020, 2021, and 21-2022 renewal of liquor license 191233 014005.
So moved. Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Hoppercamp?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Schindler?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Resolution 2021-144, energy auction approval.
So move it.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Hoppercamp?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
What does this do?
This covers us starting May 1st for the next 2 years of our main line, which is all our electricity minus streetlights, is the cost we'll pay for kilowatt hour. We had a reverse auction on that.
It's a
today.
reverse auction. Usually we wind up paying between 8 and 9 cents. Give or take.
Point oh eight.
Means that the companies that want to sell us energy bid against each other to get our business. Reverse. Instead of bidding up, they bid lower.
All right, yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Last year it was 8.5 cents.
A little bit more
At,
this year.
at your house, you pay about 15 cents. So it really benefits the borough. Actually, it's a big savings for us.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Schindler?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Okay, let's get back to ordinance 29-2021, and give me the Northwood Road information.
62 Northwood Road.
52?
62.
62 Northwood Road. Okay.
I'll move it.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Hoppercamp?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Schindler?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
Yes.
Old business, if there's any. New business, approval of encroachment in the municipal right-of-way, 124 Hudson Avenue.
I'll move it. We can discuss it.
Second.
Call the roll.
Mr. Hoppercamp?
Yes.
Ms. Johnson?
Yes.
Ms. Roberts?
Yes.
Mr. Schindler?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Young?
By the way, this is pre-existing, so this just legitimizes what's already there. There's no new encroachment, it's existing. All right, well, thank you all for coming. This is our first in-person meeting in a while. I don't think it's so bad. In the future, we're going to try to do a simulcast. I have someone that's working on that, so the next meeting will be live with a simulcast. I think we're figuring out the technology out. Right now, we're not prepared. We just wanted to have it now, but we'll improve as we go along. I mean, nothing happens overnight. We don't have magic wands. We have people that are willing to help us, and they work hard trying to do that. But so the next meeting hopefully will be simulcast and live. All right. COVID. I don't know. I sound like a broken record. Please be careful. Please be responsible. Please be accountable. Do what you think you need to do in your own judgment that's best for you and your family. We have to respect that. So we might not agree what we're doing, but please be conscious of that. Currently, Hopatcong is up to, as of today, 63 positive cases. It goes up and down, but for what it's worth, that's where we're at today. So be careful. And by being careful, we're here, we're live, and I don't think it's reasonable that we wear a mask because we just don't know what goes on around us. So I don't think that's a lot to ask, considering what we're doing. I think it's reasonable. And like I say, we'll improve as we go along. The paving is coming along beautifully. We're going to do a lot of paving this year, and hopefully next year we're putting in for more grants with the Department of Transportation as we speak. The Halloween event was priceless. Even though we got rained on and we were freezing and the tent blew away and hit John in the head, and we got another tent and we went on and all our paperwork got wet, so we couldn't even write on it with a stupid pencil, but we did it. And you know what? We had a ball. And the volunteers that were there, you know, Kathy does a great job of setting this all up and managing it, but I'll tell you what, the volunteers deserve a big thank you. We have a lot of volunteers that come there and help us, you know, putting putting condiments on a hot dog and handing out the hot dog and cooking a hot dog and just taking pictures and just doing stuff that you wouldn't think you would have to do, but we do it. And people show up and do it. And we appreciate that. That's important. It shows and it adds to the spirit of our community. Like I said before, do we do everything perfectly? No. But we give it a hell of a shot. And we try our very best to make our community a community you can enjoy with your family, with your children, with each other. There are some things that we have some limitations, of course, but we will continue to do that. I think that's important. That's the people thing. You'll hear me talk about infrastructure. What we do with Halloween, Veterans Day, and 9/11, that's called soft infrastructure. Soft infrastructure is the people stuff. And so I think that's very important that we keep that in mind, and we just keep trying. But our goal is to make our community one that it's pleasurable to live in, along with being affordable also. So that's important. People get a little less white knuckled when they see that even though you might not agree on a lot of issues, you can enjoy each other. You can enjoy the event. That's important. We're still waiting. I'm anxious. Speaking of that, I'm still anxious waiting. We put a grant in for the skate park. And hopefully we get at least a piece of that, because I think them kids that enjoy them crazy.
Can I say something? Because I gotta leave. What I'm gonna say is all the events that happen here, like I want to be back involved. I want to donate all the hot dogs. We're open on November 1st, and all the things that Kathy's doing in regards to like trying to purchase stuff. I want to donate it so I can get the marketing.
All right, we'll get back.
So I want to tell you about that, and I want to go.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
All right.
So we're also working on. Well, we're a little flexible.
Dr. Hot Dog.
That's okay. Along with the skate park, of course, we're passionate about our lake. Our lake is our jewel. Our lake really, the entire west shore of our lake. Struggling with our lake and some of the bureaucracy that gets involved is frustrating. We had a meeting with the DEP, and when you're done, you got to go have a beer or two or three, because the bureaucracy is impossible. That being said, we did manage to get $150,000 for the aeration at Crescent Cove. It does make a difference. It's long term. Every year it's going to get better and better and better. So with this new money, and also to have, I work with another outfit in Michigan, Everblue Lakes, because I think having a fresh look at things makes a difference, and it does. It did with Crescent Cove anyhow. Everybody says, well, aerate Crescent Cove, I don't know. Well, guess what? We did it, and it works. I'm working with the state with triploid grass carp. They eat, they're sterile fish. Google them. They're used throughout the world. They're used a lot in Pennsylvania and New York. In New York, you won't find a weed harvester on a lake. Same thing with Connecticut. Big lake, bigger than our lake. And so I continue working with them on that. It's an uphill battle. I discovered a product called GeoPro for HAB. It has no chemicals in it. It's 3 different kinds of clay. And what you do is you mix this, make a slurry, and when you get a bloom, you spray it on and it encapsulates. It encapsulates the bloom, and it sinks to the bottom, and it doesn't kill it, it starves it. And so this has worked great in Florida. Cape Coral, Florida has used it for the past 3 years. They love it. They're starting to use it on the red tide now. And so these are the kind of things that I bring to the table with the DEP. Sometimes they get a little frustrated with me because I'm too stupid to give up. But I think it's important that we keep looking at new technology, new ways to do it. And I'll tell you right now, I'm going to be seeking grants under the $10 million to aerate more of the lake, because that's helpful. It keeps the water healthy, and also treating the HAB. So I hope that I let everybody know where we're coming from and what we do and why and how. And please, you can call me anytime. Every third Monday, I meet the mayor at the community center. You're welcome to come down. I always have a nice visit. Last Monday, I had a nice visit with my boys from Smile again. They were a pleasure. We spent some time talking, and that's always good. Those are my boys. I love them to death. Yeah. So anyhow, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all.